The machine waited in silence, stretched across the stone floor like a promise already kept. Its beams were dark with age, polished not by care, but by bodies that had strained against them. Iron rollers rested at each end, their teeth worn smooth by years of turning. Ropes lay coiled and ready, thick as a wrist, smelling of hemp, sweat, and old blood. In the low chamber, the air pressed close, heavy with damp stone and candle smoke. This was not a place built for speed. It was built for duration. Later accounts describe the rack as simple, almost honest in its design. No blades, no spikes, no sudden mercy. Only wood, rope, iron, and time. The cruelty was not hidden in complexity, but in restraint. Pain here did not arrive all at once. It advanced by increments, measured by turns of a handle, by breaths drawn thinner and thinner until even breathing felt like resistance. The rack appeared in many forms across medieval Europe. In the municipal prisons of London, it was known as the Duke of Exeter's daughter, whispered about in corridors where men waited for summons. In the courts of the Holy Roman Empire, versions of it stood beneath vaulted ceilings, sanctioned by law and ritual. In parts of northern Italy and the Low Countries, similar frames appeared in civic jails, approved by magistrates who believed truth could be lengthened out of a body like rope from a spool. Whispers spread that the rack could pull secrets from a man without killing him. Some claimed joints would separate cleanly, that the body could be taken apart and returned again. Others said the machine knew when to stop, that it sensed the line between confession and death. Yet many later chroniclers believed these claims were myths, stories told by those who needed to believe the suffering had limits. What cannot be disputed is the sound, the slow, dull noise of tendons tightening and bones shifting under controlled force. The prisoner was laid upon the frame with care that resembled ritual. Wrists bound first, then ankles, each knot pulled tight and checked. The ropes were threaded through the rollers, tension tested with a slight turn, just enough to remind the body what waited. The man's spine pressed against the wood, every ridge and splinter suddenly important. Candlelight caught the sweat already forming on his skin, tracing lines along his ribs and shoulders. In accounts from Parisian tribunals, clerks later noted how silence often came before the first turn. Not a dramatic silence, but a practical one. Breathing slowed. The chamber listened. Even the executioner paused, hand on the handle, as if acknowledging that once motion began, there would be no clean way to stop. It was said in some courts that the rack did not break bones at first. That honor belonged to ligaments, to the hidden architecture of the body. Fingers went numb. Arms felt distant, as if they belonged to someone else. According to prison rumors, victims sometimes believed they were still intact, even as joints slipped from their place. Modern scholars suggest these accounts were shaped by shock and trauma, yet they align with what anatomy confirms. Dislocation often came before fracture. The handle turned, not fast, never fast. A fraction of movement, a tightening no wider than a man's thumb. The ropes responded immediately, singing softly as fibers stretched. The body answered with tension, muscles pulling against inevitability. The rack did not rush. It waited for resistance to exhaust itself. In Nuremberg, city records later described the rack as a tool of measured justice. Each turn was counted, each pause deliberate. The purpose was not punishment alone, but extraction. A belief that truth lived somewhere inside the body and could be drawn out if the frame was pulled wide enough. The men who ordered its use often never entered the chamber. They heard results secondhand, summarized in ink. Whispers spread among prisoners that the rack remembered. That wood absorbed screams and released them later, at night, when the jail was quiet. Some swore the beams groaned on their own, replaying old suffering. Others dismissed this as fear speaking to itself in darkness. Yet even skeptics admitted the wood bore marks, gouges where nails had dug in, dark stains where sweat and blood had soaked too deeply to be scrubbed away. As tension increased, the body changed its language. Muscles trembled, then failed. The spine arched unnaturally. Breaths came sharp and shallow. Later witnesses recalled the eyes, how they fixed on nothing, how pupils widened as if trying to escape inward. There was no sudden break, no single moment to point to. The damage unfolded like a slow collapse. In some Italian city-states, physicians were present, tasked with observing and advising when enough had been done. Their notes spoke of shoulders displaced, hips loosened, limbs lengthened beyond nature. They also spoke of restraint, of stopping just short of death. Yet rumor claimed some executioners ignored such guidance, turning the handle once more out of habit or indifference. These stories remain contested, suspended between accusation and legend. The rack carried authority not because it killed, but because it could stop and resume. A man could be lowered from it, limbs useless, body intact enough to be raised again days later. This possibility haunted prisoners more than execution. Death was final. The rack was patient. In England, pamphlets circulated long after its peak use, warning of its cruelty. In Spain, similar devices appeared in inquisitorial settings, cloaked in language of salvation and correction. Across regions, the frame remained recognizable. Different names, same purpose. Stretch the body until the mind yields. Later reports describe how the chamber smelled after use. Warm iron, damp rope. A sourness that lingered despite open doors. The floor beneath the rack often bore shallow grooves where the frame had shifted under strain, dragged a fraction of an inch by human resistance. These marks were rarely repaired. They served as reminders. Some believed the rack left a mark on the soul, that even those who survived carried a visible change, a way of moving that betrayed what had been done. Chroniclers wrote of men who could no longer raise their arms, whose gait never recovered. Others claimed survivors were already broken before they were ever bound, that the machine merely revealed what power had already decided. As centuries passed, the rack fell out of favor, replaced by methods considered more efficient, more modern. Yet it never vanished from memory. Artists painted it, preachers invoked it. It became a symbol, not just of pain, but of authority stretching truth until it tore. The machine itself did not hate, it did not choose. It waited. Wood and iron shaped by human intent, activated by human hands, justified by human certainty. In the quiet after the handle stopped turning, the chamber held what remained: breath, heat, silence, and the knowledge that the body had limits, carefully mapped by those willing to test them. And when the rack finally stood empty again, ropes slack, candle guttering low, one question lingered in the dark. How slowly does a body have to break before power is satisfied?